By the time, if you have any questions or anything, if you want to ask, you can just let me know. We'll just begin with the next 2 minutes. As yesterday class was held. See, yesterday we didn't have data science, data analytics में. No, yesterday there was a session. I'm so sorry. Yesterday we had a session data analytics में. Yesterday it was there. Yesterday was the first session, if I'm not wrong. Yes, yesterday was the first session. We had an introduction and we have also discussed on the introduction and the concepts.
Ma'am, that introduction session is on the day before yesterday, ma'am, not yesterday.
1 second, let me just check my calendar. There will be other batches too. 1 second. No, it was yesterday itself. It was not day before yesterday. Yesterday itself we had the introduction, right? Yes, can anyone respond me? Because I'll be having multiple batches, so I don't remember much. As for
Yes,
me,
ma'am.
it's
We have
yesterday.
yesterday introduction section.
Sorry?
Yesterday we had introduction
Yes,
session.
yesterday we had an introduction session.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine, then let's begin with today's session. So I'll help you to know how to download the Jupyter Notebook and Google Colab in today's session. So to start with, let me share my screen. So first, I'll let you know how to download this Anaconda Navigator. Inside this Anaconda Navigator, we have a tool called as Jupyter Notebook. So let me share my screen. So I'm also sharing this link in the chat window where you can download it. So that is where you can tap. I hope you all can see the screen. So here you can see the download option. You can directly download this particular Anaconda Navigator tool, download for free. This is a free and open source software. Once after you tap on free download, you have to give your mail ID. I'll show you. So you have to give your mail ID. Once after you give your mail ID here, it will send link, the download option or the download link will be sent to your mail ID. And accordingly, you can download it. You can directly download from that particular link what you have received to your mail ID. Clear? You can explore this page. Anaconda Navigator is a GUI that enables you to work with packages and environments without needing to type conda commands in the terminal window. Find the packages you want, install them in an environment, run the packages and update them all inside the Navigator. So you can observe your data science work tools, Anaconda Cloud Notebooks, sample data set, dedicated AI assistant. So there are so many things. Okay. So basically Jupyter Notebook is developed by this Anaconda. Clear? So I already downloaded the Anaconda Navigator. Let me show you how it looks once after you download this particular tool. It will take few seconds to open. Don't do anything, just wait. Yes. So I'll share the screen now. So this is how it looks like. Once after you download, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 different IDEs. IDEs are nothing but integrated development environment. You can see there Datalore, IBM, then Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebook, Orange, PyCharm, Qt Console, RStudio, Spider. So there are so many different IDEs which are available. One such IDE is nothing but Jupyter Notebook, which we need to install. You can see here loading packages of Anaconda. Just wait.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, isn't PyCharm a better option?
See, PyCharm is not exactly developed for data science or data analytics. Because the data, whatever I'll be working, I need that data to be stored, the results or the visualization. So all that to be stored, but that is not possible in PyCharm Professional or VS Code or any other tools because Python is an interpreted language. So for that reason, especially for data science and analytics, Jupyter Notebook and Google Colab is specifically used because the tool is like that. It is designed for data science projects. So I already launched it now.
Okay, ma'am.
I'll share the screen of Jupyter Notebook. Okay, it will take some time to open. Just wait. Okay, so this is how the Jupyter Notebook dashboard looks like. You will find certain folders from your laptop and you can see the different Python notebooks which are available. Clear? So if you are running any notebook, that will appear here. As I'm not running anything, these are Google Colab. Let me close this. Okay. Hope you all can see the screen. So now if you want to work on the new notebook, so you have to come here, tap on new, tap on this Python 3, create a new notebook with Python 3. So the current version of Python is 3.7.16. But the developed version is also 3.12.3, but it depends on the free source and the open source. But yes, that is also there. But as the latest version, which fix all the bugs, 3.12.6. Yeah. Sorry, it's not 3.7.16. That is maximum use. 3.7.16 is maximum used. But the current version 2024, we have 3.12.2. Okay. So you can rename the file here as per your wish, if you want to rename it. And let me tell you all the specifications what we have here. So if you want to open a new notebook, you can tap here. If you want to open a new window with a dashboard view, the previous view what we have seen, that you can do it. If you want to make a copy, you can do it. If you want to save as, if you want to rename it, or if you want to save this particular notebook copy, you can do it. If you want to rename it, either come and edit here, or directly you can come and edit here. Save, it will be saved automatically. You can also save it. So this is the checkpoint. This is the first time when I open this notebook, and the download as, please remember, you have to download either in this, I'm so sorry, either in this notebook or with this Python. Only these two options are available for us to download. I mean, other options also you can download, but that is not possible to view the code. You cannot work on the code again. So either go with the notebook or go with the Python. Next, if you want to close it, you can just close this. Coming to edit option, these are called as, this is a notebook, and these are called as cells. So in these cells only you will be working, you will be writing the code and you will be executing it. You can save it, or you can also add here, or you can also add with shift enter. You can cut the cell. You can also copy the selected cell. You can also paste the cell. You can, come down, go up, or you can also run the code here. Either you can run the code by shift enter, or you can also run here. You can also pause it. I'll talk about this code part. So this is to cut the cell. See, either you can go with this option, or you can also utilize any of this option. Cut the cell, copy the cell, delete the cell, split the cell, merge the cell, anything you can do. Coming to view, this is called as toggle header. This is called as toggle header. And this is called as toggle toolbar. If you want to hide it, you can tap here and you can hide it. No problem with that. Toggle header and toggle toolbar. Anything you can do it then. So after this, see, if I tap on this toggle header, that's been hidden now. So both are hidden now. So insert the cell above, insert the cell below. You can check it. Cell. So this is nothing but to run the cell, to run the selected cell. Or to run the cell above, or to run the cell below. You can check it. Next comes the kernel. So kernel is the software behind this particular tool of Jupyter Notebook. So if there is any interruption within the kernel, you can come here and you can restart it, restart and run, restart and clear, or reconnect or shut down. If you want to change the kernel, you can do it. Widgets are nothing but save the notebook or clear the notebook. Help is nothing but here you will find the important library documents. Clear? So this is nothing but, 1 second. Yeah. So this drop down. So basically this cell is in the code option now. If I convert this to markdown, if I write a code also, this will be converted to a header. Whenever you want to write some paragraph or information or header, you can make use of this markdown or a raw NB converter. This looks like cell only, but it will not run the code. It will just keep as it is. If you want to convert this to head, if you want to make that to be heading, this is nothing but you can print the headers there. So please remember, if you are using any code, make sure the drop down is in cell. By default, this drop down should be in code. By default, it will be in code, but if you want to modify anything, you can do it. Clear, or do you guys have any questions?
So like basically we can just comment out the code using that, right?
Yeah, if you want to write anything, if you want to write some paragraph or headers, then you can make use of it.
Okay, sure.
Yes. Clear with this? So this is how Jupyter Notebook, this is how we will use the Jupyter Notebook. I can log this out. This will be logged out. This is the dashboard. That was the dashboard view. So this is about Jupyter Notebook, where this is useful for us to do our projects. We'll be working both on Jupyter Notebook and Google Colab. Like, I'll make use of both. So this is about it. So to proceed now. So let us start with the Google Colab and let us see how this works. For Google Colab, you need not have to download anything. So let me share my screen. You can directly type or search Google Colab, colab.google, paste it here. I'm just pasting the link over there. So you can see here, Google Collaboratory. Colab is a hosted Jupyter Notebook service that requires no setup to use and provides free access to computing resources, including GPU and TPU. Colab is especially well suited to machine learning, data science, and education. So news and guidance, browse notebooks. You can browse this website, why it is used. So open the Colab, existing Colab, or if you want to go for a new notebook, you can do it. First, I'll show you how the existing Colab looks like. So you can see here. So these are the different notebooks what I have, and do remember that your mail ID will be directly linked with this Google Colab, and this Google Colab is developed by Google, and Jupyter Notebook is by Anaconda. And now this will be directly linked with your drive as well. So whatever you work, that will be automatically saved in your Google Drive. And if you want to share it with others, you can directly mention their mail ID and you can share it with the people. And if you want to add any comment to this notebook, you can do it. There we have a kernel to restart, but here you can directly tap on connect. These are the cells here. You can see code cell or text cell. If you want a text cell, it will ask you if you want to go for any headers or bold or italic, add any image, write any bullet points, add any emojis. So it is also giving us so many options. So coming to this, yes, to go about, to come below, to link it, to add any comment to the cell, settings, open editor settings. So how you want to, how you want this cell to look like, you can see here. You can see the change. So you can do certain changes if it is needed. And the mirror cell in the tab. So this is, this cell will be whatever you write here, that will be appeared here as well. So basically to highlight it or to emphasize it. And you can check if you want to delete it, you can do it. And yes, copy the cell, select the cell, cut the cell option, we have it here. However, like whatever the options we have in Jupyter Notebook, similarly, we have it here. And if you want to get the data set, tap here. Please do remember, this is how we will get the data set to do our project. Do not forget it. College data. This is my Excel file, which I want to get it. Okay. So this is a CSV file that is available. You need to copy the path. Using pandas, you need to write a code and you need to place this path so that you will get the data to our Google Colab. So if I want to show you now, I need to import, pandas as PD. And A is equal to PD dot, this is a CSV file. And this is how this is how I'll get the data. A is a variable. I'm so sorry. PD dot read CSV. I'm reading the file. So this is the data. So this data I need to analyze now. This is how you will be doing the project. There are 777 rows, 19 columns. So import pandas as PD and the college CSV file. So this is how we will import the data. Similarly, in the same manner, you will see the coding, whether you write the code here or you write the code in Jupyter Notebook, it is the same way. Okay. So any questions here, anyone? How to use or any questions with the specifications or with the software? I'll make use of both the tools as I mentioned you. Yes, no.
Ma'am, can you show the screen again?
Okay. Yes, you can see.
Thank you, ma'am.
So any other doubts or questions regarding these tools, anyone? Is everyone clear with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Hardly 1 or 2 people will respond out of 25. So others, should I consider that you have doubts?
No, ma'am, no doubt.
No doubts, ma'am.
No doubt, ma'am.
So let us begin with the Python concept. So I'll be making use of Jupyter Notebook today. So these are the different notebooks. I'll pick up. I hope you all can see the screen. So please make a note of the things I'll be discussing now, because I'll be also discussing, see, whatever I'll be showing you, you can make a note of the code, because the code is hardly 1 or 2 lines. And I believe that most of you are carrying your book and a pen, as we discussed yesterday. Even like I'll be having a pen with me every time. So I'll also be making a note of the things, whatever we'll be discussing. So first and foremost rule. So coming to Python, we all know Python programming language is easy compared to other programming languages. So the first and foremost thing is Python is a case sensitive. So when I say Python is a case sensitive, that means whatever the Python code I'll be writing, that is, whenever if I want to use the capital letter, I should go with the capital letter, or small letter, I should be very cautious. So small letter A and capital letter A, they are not same. But in SQL, if you remember the SQL concept, capital letter A, small letter A, both are same because that's not a case sensitive. Okay, so the first thing what we learned is Python is a case sensitive. And then whatever I write after an hashtag, that will be considered as a comment, for example. Now, forget about these two. So you are trying to start with Python programming and the session 1. If I just run the code, I'll get an error because this is an invalid syntax for me. So now whatever I write after an hashtag, after the code, or just as an header, if it is after an hashtag, that will be considered as a comments. So that we have made a note. So you're printing 1, 2, 3. You got the result there. You're again printing hello world, hello world, and you can see the elements are within the quotes. And you also got the result. You are trying to print one more statement. Welcome to today's session. And you can see here the same thing has been printed. Whatever I write, whether if there is any spelling mistakes or no spelling mistakes, whatever I try to print within this particular double quote or a single quote, no, you can observe here. Here there is a double quote. Here there is a single quote. But if you compare other programming languages, in other programming language, you cannot go with the single quotes, C or C++. Always it should be double quote. But in case of Python, either double quote or single quote will work. But please do not go with starting with double quote, ending with single quote. This is not possible. This will throw you an error. Either start and end with double quote or start and end with a single quote. And make sure if you are trying to work on a coding part, this should be selected as code itself.
Excuse me, ma'am. I have one doubt about this, ma'am.
Yes.
In the first cell, we will write the print open bracket 1, 2, 3 close bracket, ma'am.
Yes.
But we didn't give any double
I
inverted
did
comma.
not give any colon. You see, I'm just printing the numbers as a numbers.
Yeah.
See, we have different data types in Python. Numerical data type, string data type, Boolean data type, and we also have date time data type. When I say numerical data, under numerical data, I have integer, I have float, I have complex. Whenever you want to start with integers, without this quotes, without this double quote, that will be printed.
Okay.
Okay, but if you want to store any string data type is nothing but alphabets.
Okay.
You are trying to store, combination of alphanumeric. You can observe here, I stored 7. This 7 is inside the double quote, so I will consider this to be a string. It's not, but in C or C++, you have characters.
Yeah, okay.
But here, we don't call it as a character, we call it as a string.
Okay.
Because this is nothing but I'll be whatever, like whether it is a number or it is a special character. Now I can also use this, this is also a special character. This special character is nothing but if you want to store the elements, whatever the elements within the string, that will be considered as a string data type itself.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's the difference what we have here. I'll talk about the data types later in depth. So this is some basics we are learning now.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, is it necessary to mention the hashtag symbol after the print option, ma'am?
See, if you want, it is not necessary. But for example, I'm new to coding. I don't know what is happening here. So I want to write something. If you remember during your starting days in coding, I used to write. In my school days like this, that was new to me. Like I think I was in 7th standard or something. Coding was completely new to me. I was not understanding, basically that was C language. It is something, it is not easy as Python. But what I used to do is after writing the code, I used to write what is happening in that code. so that
Okay.
I'll be able to get, the things easily. This is, initial stages, even in your schools also, teachers, they will be having in touch, like they will make you to practice this, write a comment over there. So how to write a comment? After hashtag, whatever I print, it can be anything that will be considered as a comment itself. That will
Okay.
not harm the code. But if I do it without writing this particular hashtag, I'll get an error.
Okay.
So comments is basically why the main purpose of using this hashtag is to make sure whatever the logic is happening here in the code, to explain that. I'm printing numbers. Clear? This is I'm welcoming.
Okay.
That's why. Yes, any other questions from anyone here? So first thing we got to know, Python is a case sensitive, and I need to either start and end with a double quotes or start and end with a single quote when it comes to string. And to welcome, like you can see here, whatever I try to print after an hashtag, that will be considered as a comment. And we also know the drop down here. So this drop down, you can observe, this will be in header. This will be in markdown. That's what, like header. So now print, whatever I print, whether it is a special characters or anything, that will be considered as a string itself. So A is equal to 10. Now let us talk about the variables. Variables are nothing but it is also called as identifiers. Identifiers, what is this identifier? For example, you take a bag, you have 5 to 6 books. How do you carry this to your college? How do you carry this to your college? How are you going to carry your books to your college?
You store it in a bag.
You will store it in a bag. So you need some space to store those books, isn't it? So here also, to store some data, you need a variable, because every time you cannot, store the variable and you cannot keep on calling it. So you can either store a single value or you can store a multi-value. See, this is nothing but A is a variable which is storing one value, that is 10. Data is a variable which is storing two values, that is 10, 20. So if you call the data, as you can see here, I'm printing A, I'm printing data. If you call that particular variable, it is giving you the result. So basically that result is nothing but the data what you have stored. And there is certain...
Explain again?
Sorry?
Can you please repeat again?
May I know your doubt?
Actually, I have not understand
Your
from
voice
the
is breaking.
variable. I'm saying I'm not understanding from the variable part, like you told.
See,
Identifiers.
may I know what are you doing currently?
I'm currently pursuing BCA in first
BCA.
year. Yeah.
BCA. I think do you know C and C++?
Little bit, not like in that.
But okay, no problem. So for example, to store any particular elements, you need a variable. Under that variable itself, you are storing multiple elements. Similarly, see, to carry your books, you need a bag. If you take out your bag, that means you're taking out the books as well. If you're carrying your bag, you're carrying your books as well. Similarly, to store the elements, you need a variable. And that variable is nothing but A. There is a certain way to define a variable. I'll talk about it. So A acts as a variable, and the equals, what you can see, that is called as an assignment operator. You are assigning a value 10 to the variable called A. A is an alphabet, we know that. So it is storing, if you call A, you can see there you call A and it is giving you the output 10. So if you call that particular variable, whatever the data you have stored, it will give you that data. So variable are also called as identifiers, because it is easily, I'm identifying the values, whatever I'm storing, with respect to the variable itself. Identifiers are unique values. Even it is good that if we use, unique variables to store the elements. Clear, or any doubts, anyone? Please
No,
do
ma'am.
remember that if you are new to programming or if you are new to this technical concept, maximum practice is needed. You need to start practicing it then and there, write and practice, or open Google Colab if you can't download this Jupyter Notebook. Without downloading anything directly, you will be able to practice there. Are you all getting my words?
Yes, ma'am.
Hardly 1 or 2 responses.
Yes, ma'am, we are getting you.
Ma'am, we are getting it.
Yes, ma'am.
So I told you that there is a rule to define a variable. So that is nothing but if you want to define a variable, that variable should always begin from alphabet. It should either begin from an alphabet or it can start from an underscore. So now you can see here special characters are not allowed to define a variable apart from underscore. You can see a special character you use to store the value. It will throw an error called a syntax error, invalid syntax. And you can see here ampersand A1 is equal to, sorry, this is and. So and A1 is equal to 10 and you're trying to find the result, that is also not possible. But you can see A is equal to 10, which is possible. Alphabet, you can see alpha is equal to 10. Again, it is possible. 1 SD is equal to 1. And again, it should not, whenever you're trying to build a variable, it should not start from number. Either it can start from alphabet or it can start from an underscore. If I go with an underscore here, this is considered as a variable. See, the second letter can be numeric, but initial letter should be underscore or an alphabet. But second letter cannot be, what to say? Second letter cannot be character. Characters we should not use at all apart from underscore. Special characters we should not use apart from underscore. It should not begin with numbers. It should begin with an alphabet. Or it should begin with an underscore followed by alphabet or number. Or in between also you can make use of underscore, doesn't matter. So please, whenever you are storing variable, go accordingly. So alphabets or underscore can be used. It cannot start with any special characters, not even in between apart from underscore. You can see here underscore VAR is equal to 10 and you are storing it. Clear with this variable concept and the rules of a variable? Rules to define a variable.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have a doubt that using the special character in the end, ma'am, we write a Gmail, what we use there, it
That
is not
cannot
allowed,
be
ma'am.
used here. That cannot be used in Python.
Nowhere special characters cannot be used.
See, it's not nowhere, but as I told you, for example, I can see here. Can you see?
Yeah, at Gmail.
You can use to store it as a value, but you cannot use that particular special character to define a variable.
Oh, okay.
See, variable is something which is identifying the elements you are storing. Whatever you are storing, that will be stored under that variable. If I call that here, I'm storing here, I'm calling that. And you can see the result also.
Okay, ma'am.
So next we have D is equal to 55. Print D, type of D. I'm printing the element D here, that is 55. I'm also finding the type of D, which is nothing but integer. And one more important thing, the next concept is Python automatically recognizes what kind of data type I'm storing. Am I storing integer? Am I storing float? Am I storing complex or am I storing some alphabets? It automatically recognizes it. So now let us discuss what are the different variables we have. Let me take up this. Please make a note of it. So the data types. We have numerical data. Under numerical data, we have integer, we have float, we also have complex. Second one, we have Boolean. Boolean is nothing but true and false. See, this true and false has been taken. If I write something TRUE, this is not Boolean. If I write something FALAC, this is also not a Boolean. Only this true and this false is a Boolean because Python is a case sensitive. Next, we have string data type. This is nothing but whatever you enclose within the single quote, double quote. This is called as string data type. It is nothing but used to store info. It can be anything. You can make use of alphabets, you can make use of special characters, you can make use of numbers, floating value numbers, integers, anything, whatever you print inside the double quote or a single quote, that is considered as a string data type. And one more data type, that is a date time data type. So this is nothing but, for example, whenever you work with a large data set, for example, you have customer details with you. When did the customer order? So date time stamp will be there on Excel data, or data can be in any format. You have a date followed by a time, and that is called as a date time data type. Any questions there? Please make a note of it.
No, ma'am, no questions.
Yeah. No, ma'am, no doubt.
No.
It's clear, ma'am.
So to proceed further.
Yes.
So yes, now type of D. So what kind of element it is? We know that it is of the type integer. So Python automatically recognizes what kind of element it is storing. So it is of the type integer. And this is nothing but, see, in case of other languages, always, whatever the printing statement, it should end with the semicolon. But in Python, that is not mandatory. If there are some multiple conditions available in one cell, means you can go with the semicolon, or without semicolon also, you will be able to print the statement, or with semicolon also, that is there. Both the options we have. So now A is a variable which is storing the value 10. A is equal to 10, print A, type of A. Please remember, if you go with the small letter type only, you will get the A, what is the particular class. But if you do not go with that, you will get an error. Type is not defined because Python is a case sensitive. As it is defined, we need to go with the same. So now A is equal to apple, type of A. So you are finding what kind of element it is. It is of the type string. So special characters cannot be used. So you can see over there. And you can see here, if 1 is less than 8, okay. So let me, we also discussed about syntax error for now. Whatever the error we may do while declaring a variable, we got to know that special character should not be, should be avoided to define a variable. Now, next comes one more error called as an indentation error. This is nothing but, for example, you are writing certain conditions. Let me delete this. Now I need to check the condition if 5 is greater than 67, colon. Always remember that after certain conditions, if you define any condition, after that condition, it should be followed by a colon. If you do not mention this colon, this 5 is greater than 6 itself is not a condition. Okay, so always remember condition should be followed by a colon. Colon itself indicates that there is a condition. Now, if 5 is greater than 6, I'm so sorry. You will print, oh, I'm so sorry. You will be printing 5 is greater than 67. If not, else print none. And here you can see that by default I got this space here. But why did I get that spaces? That is called as indentation space or indentation block or indented block. The reason is if this condition satisfy, it should print this, right? If this condition does not satisfy, it will directly come to else part. For example, now this condition will satisfy. So it will print this statement. If this condition does not satisfy, it will print this none. If I don't leave this space and if I run it, I'll get an indented block because the condition cannot flow to else part if there is no space. So this error we should not do. At least one tab of space we should give. And again, else also, we should not give any space to this particular conditions. If else, or whatever the conditional operators or conditions we have, we should not give any space to it. It should follow the same lane. Clear? So that is why we always say indentation is what we need to follow. For this condition to flow down, there should be a space. And that's why if this condition correct or false, we don't know. But the print statement should be below this condition always. Or there should be one tab of space. Clear with this indentation or any doubts?
I'm clear.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So next you can observe here 10 is less than 2. You are printing. See, it doesn't matter if the spelling is correct or not. If say 10 and 2. If I write 90 also, it will give me if the condition is correct. If the condition is not correct, it will not print at all, for example. So whatever is available, whether the spelling is mistake or it is correct or wrong, whatever is there inside the string or inside the quotes, you will be able to print it. I hope this is correct.
Ma'am, but in this case, the print statement is not in the same line. Like there's an indentation gap there, so it's still
There is
working.
space here.
No, ma'am. The space between the two prints is actually
No, that doesn't matter. These two print doesn't matter. This if, else, or the other conditions what we have, that should be on the same lane.
already.
This print doesn't matter. This
Alright.
condition matters. And if I remove the if I remove the colon here also, I'll get an error. Because this is a condition statement and there should be a condition.
So does we
colon
have
indicates the condition. Sorry?
do we have to check the indentation for the only conditional parts, conditional
No, for
statements?
while when you're working with loop, when you're working with these conditions, you should follow the indentation. In other scenarios, we don't get it. But if there is any scenario where it depends on the previous condition or previous logic, then you need to maintain this.
Okay, ma'am.
Whenever you work with looping condition or if else conditions, that is mandatory. So the same examples are available here. So multiple elements. So whenever you go with the multiple elements to store under a variable, See, if I just go with this 90, I'll get it as integer. But if I store multiple elements, so why it is tuple? Because there are certain inbuilt data types in Python where we can store multiple values. If you store normally in this manner, it will be by default considered as a tuple inbuilt data type. But there are different data types like list, set, tuple, and dictionary. But if you normally store in this way, it will consider it as tuple. If you store it in the form of list or tuple, there are certain rules which we will learn that later. But this is tuple if you store multiple values in this format. So _1 is equal to TS print A9020GH. So this conditions and special characters which is not allowed. So \n. Remember, \n always indicates a new line. And x is equal to 10, y is equal to 20, print y. You are printing y value to be 20. So special character not allowed. dt is equal to 10, printing y result, which you have defined it earlier. And now a is equal to 110, b is equal to 90, and you are printing a comma b, 110 comma 90. So import keyword dot keywordless. So there are certain keywords in Python which does only specific task, and that is also called as reserved words in Python. And these are that reserved words which does only specific task as per the alphabets again. If you say instead of small letter C, if you go with capital C, that is not a reserved word. Are you all getting my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So import keyword. So keyword is a module which is defined, which is storing all the values, all the reserved words, and you can observe that. Any questions there, anyone?
Ma'am, once can you go back to the \n, ma'am?
So you should ask me then and there, again and again. Yes.
What's the purpose of \n, ma'am?
If you want to start with a new line.
It means it takes to the another line, ma'am. Means it will leave some space to the.
It takes to the new line.
Okay.
Any other questions, anyone?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, no.
Hardly 1 or 2 people will respond.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So next you can see here A is equal to 10, B is equal to Meghana, and you are printing A, print B, type of B. So 10 is a variable what you are storing, and the B is the Meghana what you are storing again. Type of B, this is nothing but of the type string. So as I told you that it should start with an alphabet or it should start with an underscore, you can observe the same here. So X is equal to apple, Y is equal to banana, Z is equal to mango. And you can see X, Y, Z values which is available here. So multi ways of assigning a value to a variable. X, Y, Z is equal to apple, banana, and mango. Next, X, Y, Z is equal to, for multiple values, you have,
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, you have fully zoomed the screen, ma'am, so we are not able to see the content.
can you see this now? Is it, is it visible now?
No, ma'am.
No, it is visible. I can see the screen. I think you zoomed out,
Yes.
zoomed in, I guess.
We can see the screen.
Yes, ma'am, we can see your screen.
Can you check it once from your end? I think you zoomed it.
Yeah, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay. Yes, no problem. So you can see here, I have